Now we're ready to move on to the general ledger process in DonorQuest. The general ledger process is an accounting function within DonorQuest that really does two things for you. The first thing it does is it generates files which then you can bring into Microsoft Word to produce thank you letters. And it also produces a report for you that will show you the donations that have come in for the time period you specify. So the first thing I want to do is go over the thank you letter portion of the general ledger process. And the first thing I want to do is go back a step and look at the donation entry form, because this is key in producing your thank you letters. So I'm just clicking edit here on the first donation for Brad Anderson, and you notice here there's a field called TY letter, and this field is key in producing thank you letters. So for each donation you enter into DonorQuest, you need to enter a thank you code for all the donations you wish to produce a thank you letter for. And these codes are of course customizable, so once you purchase DonorQuest, you'll be able to create all your own codes. But here in our little sample database there are just 3 different codes, and this one in particular is TC for a customized thank you letter. Okay, so now I want to skip back to going ahead and starting the general ledger process. And to do that, you click on the word File in the upper left hand corner and then choose Run and then General Ledger Process. And this will bring up the General Ledger Process options screen. So we're just going to go over some of the fields here. Up at the top there's a lower and upper donation date. So if you run your thank you letters or run the general ledger process every day, you can just leave the default, which should be today's date. If you want to run it once a week, then you'll need to move back the lower donation date back to Monday's date, for example. Just for today, for example purposes, we're just going to leave it as today's date. The acknowledgement date is a date that's stamped into the donation after you run the general ledger process, so you can always go back and search and find where you left off with your thank you letters if perhaps you've been out of the office for a while. The print report checkbox, you'll want to check this. And this is the other portion of the general ledger process I spoke of earlier. The report that will print out a summary of the donations, both monetary, in-kind. If you track in-kind donations, it will give you a separate sheet for those, and will also print a summary report that will show you the totals or for all your accounts, all your stimuluses, and so on and so forth. Okay, the other really important thing here on this screen is the base name for merge file, and this is really important for your thank you letters. Basically, when DonorQuest runs the general ledger process, it sends the data out to a file that you'll then need to go and find in order to merge that into Word. So if you click the Browse button here, we'll see where the information is being sent out of DonorQuest. So you have the C drive, and then the folder DQuest, and then the subfolder output, and the file name is then merge.dat. So your thank you letters or thank you files will be merge plus the TY code, so for example tc.dat, and you'll need to be able to go and find those once the general ledger process is finished. Okay, now the rest of the information down here is really more advanced things within the program, so we won't go over that now in the demonstration video. So I'm going to go ahead and hit begin. And then we'll ask you to choose a printer for the report. And then DonorQuest will go through and grab those donations for that day. So then you'll get a warning or a message that tells you it's completed. So click OK. And now DonorQuest at this point is done with the general ledger process. And now what you need to do is open up Word and open up a blank new document and go through the mail merge process within Word. So I think we're ready to move on to the next section, which is creating selections.